Hello to everyone and the internet. Welcome to Tuesday, maggots, January 29th. I am Nathan of Washington. You're watching Culture Shock, the only show on the internet that knows how to separate an issue of culture from an issue of politics. And this is the news in 2019. Again, as a reminder, I'm not just saying you're maggots, I'm a maggot too. We're all maggots compared to these overgrown, super powerful politicians who just want to crush us underneath their feet. So I proudly say I'm a maggot, and you will not crush me. I'll just fly away. Anyway, this, quote, doctor falsely diagnoses child with ADHD and prescribes pot, marijuana, the devil's lettuce, Northern Lights cannabis indigo. Dr. William Eidelman didn't even know the actual criteria for diagnosing ADHD. The official criteria, he didn't even know it. They tested him on it, he didn't even know it. And he ignored other possible explanations for the displayed behavior. Like, he completely rejected any mundane answers or anything related to, like, child psychology. He completely ignored, like, all of it. This guy was grossly incompetent, in my opinion. Mind you, I'm not really a doctor, I don't know much about the medical field, but I think it's pretty clear to anyone that this guy clearly did not know what the hell he was doing. I mean, for crying out loud, he prescribed pot for behavior modification. And then the dad sent the kid to school with pot-laced cookies. Really, you shouldn't put the kids on any kind of mind-altering substances. It's bad for them. I mean, I should know. I was a kid who was put on meds in school for my behavior. You ever hear of valproic acid? Yeah. You should never put... I don't care what your reason is. If they're acting up in school, pull them out of school and teach them yourself. Or like, find like a personal teacher and pay them to teach their kid at home. But the dad actually was reported to CPS by the school nurse after he asked her to administer pot to the kid at school. He even sent the kid to school with pot-laced cookies. Yeah, so he was reported to CPS. But the normal psychology of a kid that age and why he was acting out, he was only like 4 years old. It was separation anxiety for the most part, and various other emotional problems are causing him to act out. In other words, just normal kid stuff. We are using drugs to modify the behavior for just normal kid stuff, instead of just actually parenting. It's insane. The amount of it going on has gone down, but it's still a problem. Bottom line is, a kid that age is going to be very emotional, very vulnerable, very impressionable, so his behavior is completely understandable. Moving on, let's talk a little bit about pot. Marijuana as a medical substance. It's good for treating cancer. It's good for treating anxiety and PTSD. But that's really about it. It's kind of useless for much else. A temporary cursory treatment at best. Bottom line is, for this sort of thing, which shouldn't happen anyway, it is by and large useless. I will tell you about my experience on behavioral modification substances. I didn't feel right. I didn't think right. Nothing looked or felt right. I just felt wrong on the stuff. I just didn't feel like me. And many other kids will report that exact same feeling. So you're so desperate to get a kid to behave the way that you in society think they should, that instead of using discipline, you use drugs and literally alter their brain chemistry. And I'm just like, what in the actual fuck? Children at that age are so medically and physically vulnerable that it's gonna fuck them up. It really is. Bottom line is, this doctor definitely should have lost his license. And that 4-year-old child, who knows what this is going to do to him in the long run? Who the hell knows? But not only should William Idleman lose his license, he should be doing prison time. Child abuse. The Catholic Church may, in fact, decide to excommunicate and muddy the name of Andrew Cuomo, rightfully so. Regardless, however, I feel about Christians in the Catholic Church, Cuomo he's a piece of, like, literal human garbage. He recently signed a bill that allowed abortion up to birth for arbitrary reasons, should anyone decide that the health of the mother was in danger. Up to birth, as in, like, literally, like, last second. It's like, you're free game until you pop up out of the womb. You're free game until you pop out of the womb. Absolutely sickening. And if that wasn't bad enough, he had the One World Trade Center in New York lit up pink in celebration. Pretty much everyone, even the pro-abortion people, thought it was in really bad taste. To the point where, like, some people literally felt like vomiting. And it would seem that the bill in question would actually seemingly allow non-doctors to perform the procedure. Although that's more of an alleged case, but that was included in there. Make of that what you will. Probably not. He can't be that insane. But even though Cuomo touts his Catholic faith and talks about having been an altar boy, he's constantly anathemaing himself. Anathemaing toward the Catholic belief. And a quote concerning Cuomo, it says, "It goes way beyond Roe v. Wade in so many ways, so I don't see it as something to celebrate." This is the Albany Bishop, Edward Scharfenberger. Yeah, he's a German. Told Fox and Friends Saturday, "The kind of procedures that are now available in New York State, we wouldn't even do to a dog or a cat. It's torture." As if abortion wasn't sickening enough, this just takes it to a whole new level of disturbing. Bottom line is, Andrew Cuomo, it's like, my logical mind tells me no, but my egotistical mind says that I would love to see, like, Andrew Cuomo swinging from a tree, if you catch my meaning. He should get excommunicated. He should also be forced out of office. Sorry. No more governor of the state of New York, man. Sickening. There's nothing about that man that doesn't make me want to just, like, vomit all of my internal organs out of my mouth. A terrorist known as El Tori, basically, literally the terror, who wants to kill as many American citizens as possible, and was responsible for the attack on the consulate in Monterrey, is now the leader of the Los Zetas cartel, already the most violent cartel in existence. The attack on the consulate, like, they threw grenades, but the grenades didn't went off, they were duds, but they shot up the place, there's bullet holes everywhere. Thankfully, no one died. The recent rash of bodies being dumped on the U.S.-Mexico border, of, like, the bodies of dead border crossers, yeah, that was them. We need that wall, if only just for this guy, for El Tori. This is someone who would indiscriminately kill any U.S. citizens or anyone he feels sympathetic to the United States. He straight up hates us. And I'm just like, good grief. Build that fucking wall. Oh, but no, Nancy Pelosi or other people would want to let him right in. And probably put him in a sanctuary city somewhere. And then, you know, try to cover up the fact that he's murdering people because he'd vote for them. we're in such a sick state of affairs right now, and we got someone who hates us so deeply that he literally would just kill any of us at any time at like the drop of a hat. Probably doesn't even need a reason. The fact that we're American citizens is reason enough. And now he's the leader of the Los Zetas cartel. Ugh, wonderful times. And the cartels basically run the Mexican government, so this guy has impunity. And you wonder why Trump wants a fucking wall. Yes, this is a cultural issue. Because we need to protect ourselves from this maniac, this psycho. And Trump is the only one providing a solution. He's the only one looking to protect America from its enemies. Whereas Democrats want to compromise with our real enemies and attack and viciously attack the ones we declare enemies, whether they really are or not. We might even consider sending someone to assassinate El Torre. Because that would be great. Because this guy is fucked up in the head. Is a major danger to every last one of us, even to the leftists. For our final story today, I will now read you some very alarming statistics concerning just how far left and how many outlets of the mainstream media, how far left they lean and how many lean in that direction. So, like, MSNBC, all those mainstream media sources, 58.47% admit to being left of center. Along with that, another 37.12% claim to be moderate. That is, the journalists from these organizations. 0.46% of financial journalists call themselves very conservative. While just 3.94% said they were somewhat conservative. That's 4.4% of the total that lean right of center. That's a ratio of 13 liberals for every one conservative. That is shocking. In late October, a study found that 45% of all likely voters in the midterm elections believe that when most reporters write about congressional race, they are trying to help the Democratic candidate. 11% said the media would try to help the Republican, and only 35% they thought reporters simply try to report the news in an unbiased way. A post-election survey of 1,000 voters by McLaughlin and Associates found that a forceful plurality, Plurality, 48% of respondents believe the media coverage is unfair and biased against President Trump. Even 16% of Democrats agreed. 16% of Democrats actually agreed that the media was unfairly against Trump? Wow. That's actually slightly higher than I would have expected. Maybe there are some reasonable Dems somewhere. We just don't really normally hear about them. These statistics are very alarming, and unfortunately, as I read through the article, it was extremely well-sourced. There was little reason to question its validity. It is incredibly disturbing. The unbelievable level of bias in a left-leaning direction and against Donald Trump, no less, practically amounts to a conspiracy. It's insane. At this point, why would anyone in their right mind want to watch a mainstream media outlet, not even Fox News? Which, admittedly, I do sometimes use that as a source. No, I'm certainly not proud of it. But sometimes they manage to cover things that others don't. And those things they do cover that others don't are usually extremely well-researched. Their facts are fine. It's their opinions that you shouldn't necessarily trust. because they're just as biased in the opposite direction. So, I mean, bottom line is, like I said before, why watch mainstream media when you could just watch somebody like me, an honest, well-researched, independent newscaster and journalist? Wouldn't you just be better off? Anyway, that's it for Culture Talk today, folks. I'm out.